Hello and welcome everybody to X Bomb Sports. I am the man with the most. I'm always cold up top with the head, always wearing a hood. I think I'm gonna bring this style back. I am your host Tom McKinney. Like I said, with me is nobody. I don't have anybody. It's just me once again. My main man Andrew though is in the back. He will be on in the second half where we are talking today's show. We actually have a great show. We have some exciting news. Cubs have found a manager. We're going to go into break down week 8 of the college football season and head into week 9 as college football playoff rankings will be coming out shortly. I believe it's this week. I think I jumped the gun on when those are coming out. Then Andrew will come on in the second half and we'll break down the Bears Saints and NFL week 7. But let's get started right away with David Ross has been announced as the new manager of the Chicago Cubs. And in all signs, I'm actually excited for this one. NBC5 Chicago has the timeline of David Ross's journey with the Chicago Cubs, and I actually find it interesting. December 23rd, 2014, David Ross signs with the Cubs. May 9th, 2015, Ross's role changes. For the first time in his career, Ross stepped up to the pitcher's mound and threw a scoreless inning against the Milwaukee Brewers. He pitched again that season, throwing a scoreless inning against the Phillies before hitting a home run. I find that amazing. I don't know why it's a stat in here, but whatever. September 20th, 2015, Ross announced his retirement. He said Ross announced that he planned to leave the game of baseball after the 2016 season, and the Cubs ended up making it a season to remember, showering him with gifts and showcasing his interactions with his teammates on social media. And on November 2nd, 2016, I don't know, if you were living under a rock, you literally don't know what happened that day. Ross helps the Cubs literally make history. It's the greatest thing ever. I jumped out of my bed, drove to Dick's, got my gear, and played Go Cubs Go doing 100 miles an hour to Dick's. It was great. There were no cops out. No one was pulling anybody over that night. It was great. But, yeah, in his final game as a player, Ross clubbed a home run off of Cleveland Indians reliever Andrew Miller and was ultimately carried off the field as the Cubs won Game 7 of the World Series. Boom, shakalaka, we win. January 14th, 2017, Ross is hired as an advisor. Ross was hired as a special assistant to the team's baseball operations department, keeping him involved with the team even as he ventured into other areas. Those other areas were sorry, folks, I'm dealing with a little tickle in my throat. His other roles were being an announcer for ESPN, quote unquote, doing the Little League World Series. March 1st, 2017, Ross Dances with the Stars. Ross was announced as a contestant of Dancing with the Stars, and he came close to winning as he finished in the runner-up spot behind Rashad Jennings. I think he was robbed. The man should have won. That's the only season of Dancing with the Stars I watched, but obviously I had reasons why. November 9th, 2017, Ross watches as Hyde hired as bench coach. Well, some rumblings had surfaced that Cubs would potentially hire Ross. So there were rumblings early on in 2017 after they won the World Series that he was going to potentially be the bench coach. But unfortunately, they went with Brandon Hyde, and Hyde was only there a year. Then he became the manager of Baltimore Orioles, and I don't know where he's at now because Baltimore's trash. September 29th, 2019, recently, Joe Maddon's departure announced. On the last day of the season, Cubs confirmed that Maddon would not be back as the team's manager after 5 seasons. I didn't realize it was 5 seasons, but I guess I just don't know how to do math. Ross' name immediately began to come up in speculations over the role. September 30th, 2019, Theo confirms the obvious. In a press conference the day after the end of the regular season, Cubs president Theo Epstein said that Ross was indeed a candidate for the managerial role. Ultimately, Ross, Will Venable, and Mark Loretta were among those in the Cubs organization who interviewed for the job. And then October 22nd, so yesterday, 2019, Ross has second interview. A day after Astros bench coach Joe Espada reportedly got a second interview with the Cubs. Ross also spoke to the team again, according to NBC Sports Chicago, Kelly Kroll. Supposedly that meeting, both of Espada's meeting and Ross's second meeting or interview were giving a fake spring training speech to the team. Actually, I have to say, great example by Rick Camp. He said almost a Rudy-esque standing on the stool. I think it was sort of dumb, but whatever. I don't make the money. I don't pay the man. I'm not making the big decisions. I just want a team that is in the playoffs. And then today, I think I got the update about 9, almost 10 o'clock. So October 23rd, 2019, the search is reportedly over. According to multiple sources, the Cubs have landed on Ross as the new manager just 3 years after he hung up his catcher gear for the final time. David Kaplan broke the news. That's where everything I had heard it from. I know Jesse Rogers was on ESPN 1000 today. I didn't catch that interview with him, but in all honesty, I couldn't be happier for this. I definitely did not want Joe Girardi. I think Joe Girardi, everything I had heard from the Yankees organization was that he is the biggest B-pole in the world. He would literally cripple. There were several Yankees players. Yes, like CC Sabathia never really talked about it, but there were several Yankees players and several front office people for the Yankees who said that if it wasn't Joe Girardi's way, then he literally made everything a living hell, and he was going to cripple the Cubs if he was chosen. So I think Joe Girardi was out from the get-go as soon as that came out, and anybody who wanted Joe Girardi just for his experience, there was a lot of things why Joe Girardi isn't coaching right now or isn't a manager right now, and we saw it in the playoffs his last year in New York. He didn't want to challenge a play. He probably should have challenged. He would have won it, and who knows, the Yankees actually might have made a World Series in this decade. First time since 1910 they haven't made a World Series. Boom. Joe Espada was an interesting one. I had heard several rumors that he was potentially going to be hired, and that the Cubs were then going to hire David Ross as the bench coach. They were almost going to run a 2-manager system, and Espada was going to be like the I'm going to rub your face and everything, push you into the ground type thing, and be the hard-nosed guy. And David Ross was going to be the morale guy, the guy that you want on your bench that all the players can go to when they need to talk to someone. And I was actually down for that. I was more excited for that. I thought it was going to be an interesting concept. I thought it should be something that a lot more teams should think about because you can eventually you want to give these guys that have just retired maybe give them a few years off, but you want to hire them right away. I think hiring a former player almost out of retirement is a great thing because they know the game, a lot of what it's going on now and how it's changing, and they're willing to change with the game because they've had to change their whole career with it. A lot of these older managers have changed because of the rule changes. They sort of don't want to change their way. They don't want to change their way from the old time. They don't want to go with the new era of baseball. And a lot of these newer managers that are coming out or players that are in retirement or retired and are coming back a few years later are willing to go to the new age of baseball. Quote unquote, Aaron Boone is a perfect example. Craig Counsell, I think that's his name in Milwaukee, right? Yeah. Yeah, so the Milwaukee Brewers manager, he's the same way. He former player, retired, got into the game. I think he started though out as a bench coach or a first base coach, but he's one of those guys that is willing to go with the new style of baseball, going with stats and focusing on StatCast and stuff like that. And I think that's going to work out perfectly. Something actually I had heard, obviously I've mentioned it, and Andrew's going to be like, how do you always tie this into any other sport we talk about? No, but it does tie in with this. So I listen to Spit and Chicklets from Barstool Sports. By the way, they're in town. They'll be at the Blackhawks game tomorrow. I'll be there. But they were talking to Robert Bertuzzo from the St. Louis Blues about Steve Ott, who was a former player for the Blues and is now, I guess, a bench coach, if you want to look at it that way, for the Blues. But he's just like a power play coach or whatever you want to call it. And Bertuzzo said that he's ready for a managerial position. And then Ryan Whitney, who played for the Edmonton Oilers, played for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He was part of the Penguins team that lost the Stanley Cup. And then the following year, the Penguins went to the Stanley Cup without him. He's upset about that, but whatever. He said that he doesn't understand why a lot more teams aren't hiring younger and younger coaches that are out of the game after a few years of retirement. So, like, if they retire this year and 2 years down the line, why aren't these guys being hired as coaches? The Blackhawks have one, Sheldon Brookbank. I think he might be a potential good head coach eventually. But I actually agree with that. I would prefer to have a younger coach or manager or whatever in whatever sport you want, whatever they're called, because I know baseball calls them managers. Um, because again, like I said, they're okay with change. They're willing to grow with the sport. They're willing to change as time goes on. They're not stuck in their ways like the old timers. And I know people are like, well, baseball's the old timers game. Well, yeah, it is. But the old timers are fading. Unfortunately, to say that generation is dying off, both ways and none. You're seeing less. I mean, Bruce Bochy just retired, and he was, 75, almost 80. Who knows how long Joe Madden's got. I mean, in hockey, you see it. Joe Quenneville's got a few more years. I mean, I think he finishes out his contract in Florida, and he's done. Basketball, I don't know who's old in basketball. Oh, yeah, Greg Popovich, I think he's got a little bit. I think he's got at least 3 more years in him. And in football, Belichick, how many more years do you think Belichick's going? Yeah, so Brady and yeah, but he'll be done coaching. He'll be done on the sideline. But Belichick said it, or Brady has already come out and said that he's not sure how long he's going to play. It might be at the end of this year. It might be next year. It might be 5 years. So who knows? Belichick might never retire. But Nick Saban, that's a perfect one. I think he's retiring in the next 4 years. Yeah, I think Nick Saban will be out in the next 4 years. I think he's just done. But I think the new wave of coaches, the younger generation, is starting to come in, implement their rules. And this is finally Theo's team. This is a guy that will Theo goes to him and says, "Hey, this is how we need to do this to help the team." Like he'll listen more and he might do it more until he finds his own ways. I think it's going to be a little bit of a growing pain. Now everybody's going to freak out in spring training when we go like 1-3 or 1-32 or however many games we play in spring training that they actually count because like they have split squads. But I think that this team will be fine. I think this team will be back in playoff form, and I think they got their guy. I truly am excited for this. Like I said, realistically, I was down to 3 people: David Ross, Espada, Joe Espada, and Mark DeRosa. Those were my 3. I really thought Espada was going to be a good one. He basically helped mold the Red Sox manager. I can't think of his name. It's Alex Cora. So I think that would have been perfect. He would have come in, stepped in, and who knows, this team might win a World Series next year if he's the manager. But we don't know. They might not. They might never make the playoffs again in his years with the Cubs. I think DeRosa would have been a perfect fit. Former player, fan favorite, and not just because of those 2 keys. I think he would have fit perfectly with this organization in the way that they wanted to go, and I think he's ready for a managerial position anywhere. I would love to see him in San Diego. I think Mark DeRosa in San Diego would be a perfect fit, or the Mets. Those are 2 exciting teams. I would like to see Mark DeRosa get a spot. And, I mean, David Ross obviously got the job. Joe Girardi just needs to stick in the booth with A.J. Brzezinski. I think that's where it will land. Who knows? I think Joe Girardi shouldn't have quit being Team USA's coach, but whatever. He made that decision. So, for me personally, I think this is a great move. David Ross will prove himself. It might not be right away. They might be a playoff team or a wild card team next year and be knocked out. We don't know that. You can't judge off of because he doesn't have any managerial experience. Once again, Aaron Boone didn't have any managerial experience. Took the team to, I don't even remember the record last year. I think they just missed the playoffs, or they make the playoffs last year. No, the Yankees. Yeah, yeah. So in his first year, they made the playoffs. They didn't go very far. They lost. I think they lost the Red Sox. Yeah, they've been progressively getting better, and they almost took it to 7 against the Astros, but unfortunately, they went up against a really good pitching staff. Um, what? Well, yeah, and Jose Altuve, but that. Hey, size is never a factor. Don't ever think. For all you kids out there that are short, remember, for everybody out there, I was 4'9" graduating 8th grade. I am now 6 foot. I played football 5th through 8th grade. Actually, I played football all the way up to senior year. But when I hit high school, I started to grow. But from 5th to 8th grade, I played football. I was short. I played baseball growing up. I was short. I was 4'9" my 8th grade year, and I weighed 83 pounds. Yeah, I was small. So, yep. But don't ever think that because you're short or you're skinny or you don't have a lot of muscle, you can't do things. Jose Altuve was literally sent away from a tryout with the Houston Astros by the scouts, and he turned around and said, "No, you never saw me play. You're gonna watch me play, and then you can turn me away." That guy has heart, and that's a guy that you should look up to. But so I really didn't have a whole lot on David Ross because we don't know his contract yet for me to either complain about it being too long or not long enough. We're only speculating, and Andrew and I were talking about it. I'm speculating it's going to be about 3 years. It might be 2 years, who knows, with an option at the end, or it might be 3 years with an option for a fourth. I'm guessing $5 million. That sound about right? $5 million a year, or are we going $5 million total? So we'll say 3 to 5 million a year. Again, that yes, people are like, well, that's not a lot of money. Well, first off, I would love $1 million. Really, that would set me up for a little bit. But realistically, if the Cubs don't want to pay him 5 million and want to pay me the 2 million, I'll just sit there and I'll boost the Cubs up. I don't care. I'll talk Cubs all day on here, even when they're not playing. They can lose every game, and I'll still say this team's a great team. They're going to win the World Series this year. I'm fine with that. But yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting signing. So we're gonna have to. I mean, again, it's a wait and see. They're gonna have a press conference tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll be able to listen to that and come in on Saturday with a little bit more details on it. We probably won't touch too much of it on Saturday. But we will definitely hit it a little bit more once we get his contract, and hopefully it'll be me and Andrew talking about it up here. But before we get out of the baseball and go into one of my favorite sports, I do want to talk World Series. Game 2 is tonight after the Washington Nationals, who are just a team of destiny. Honestly, I think this is the team of destiny. I know everybody's like, St. Louis Blues were a team of destiny last year. No, St. Louis was just too good, and they decided now they were going to show up in the second half. That was a garbage team. Jonathan Tate said it perfectly. That team was way better than they thought they were in the beginning of the season. There was a joke that they made it that far, that they should have been that good all season. So I don't want to hear that St. Louis Blues were a team of destiny. That team was trash, and they know they were trash, and then somehow they're going, oh, we're never going to flip the switch. No, there is no flipping the switch all of a sudden. It's literally, you should have been flip the switch game 1 of the season. But no, you stink, you stunk, now you're going to lose again, you're not even going to make the playoffs, and the Blackhawks are going to stand the cup. Boom. But I want to say, Washington Nationals, team of destiny, Cinderella story, literally Cinderella story. They've had the best record in baseball since May, I believe. And they literally took a guy that hadn't given up 5 runs or more since May 22nd and made him give up 5 runs yesterday, and Garrett Cole. Yes, Garrett Cole hadn't given up 5 or more runs since May 22nd. I tried to go back and find that team. I just got lazy and stopped going back too far. That was way early in the season. But yeah, this team looks really good. They seem locked in. Davey Martinez has this team all set for this push. I have Nationals in 6. I think the Astros. No, I have Nationals in 5. My bad. I think the Astros will win Game 4. No. Yeah, I think the Astros will win Game 4. And then the Nationals will go back to Washington and win game. Do they do 3, 2, 3, and 2? So yeah, so then it'll be in Washington. My bad. Astros have home field. I'm all mixed up on who has home field right now. So yeah, I think the Astros will either win Game 3 or 4, and then the Nationals will win in 5. Andrew's got Astros in 6. He thinks that the Nationals are going to win the first 2 games in Houston, and then the Astros are just going to go off on a tear and win it. So he's got Astros in 6. I got Nationals in 5. I think the Nationals are going to do this. I think Washington's going to get their second title in a year, literally about a year. Don't forget Capitals won it 2018. Some people forget that the Capitals are actually in Washington. That's literally D.C. That's where the Wizards and the Nationals and the I don't even know any other. Oh, the Redskins and the Capitals all play. Some people went back to the Generals in like the 1933s, but whatever. So yeah, that's where I got Strasburg versus Verlander tonight. It's going to be a great matchup in Houston. So yeah, let's go Nationals. So moving on from that, let's head into college football after one of the craziest weeks. It wasn't even like a crazy weekend. It was just one crazy game that literally flipped it and has helped out a lot of teams. So we'll start with the rankings. They really didn't switch much. A few teams went up, a few teams went down. So we'll start. Number 1, Alabama stayed the same. Number 2, LSU. That will eventually switch for everybody who hates the SEC because LSU Alabama is not this weekend. Like I keep thinking, I keep going. It's week 10, right? So week 10. So realistically, if LSU wins that game, LSU will be number 1, which I'm fine with. Alabama could drop out of the rankings. Realistically, they should drop to 10. But all right, but at that point, all right, let me go through the rankings and we can talk. So after LSU, you have Ohio State. They jumped up 1 spot to 3. Then you have Clemson, who dropped down 1. You have Oklahoma, who stayed at 5. Penn State jumped up 1 after beating Michigan. God damn! Florida jumped up 2 to 7. Notre Dame stayed course at 8. They're 5-1. For everybody out there, they've played 1. They have had 2 byes this year, so they have played 1 less game. Auburn is jumped up 2 to 9. They're 6-1. Georgia stayed course at 6-1 at 10. Oregon jumped up 1 to 11. Utah jumped up 1 to 12. Wisconsin dropped 7 to 13. Baylor jumped up 4 to 14. Texas stayed at 15. SMU jumped up to 3. Wait, Boise State lose? Oh, well, my prediction went off on that one, but whatever. So yeah, SMU jumped up 3 to 16. Minnesota jumped up 3 to 17. Cincinnati jumped up 3 to 18. Michigan, it's this week, so bear with me. Michigan dropped to 3 after losing to Penn State to 19. Iowa jumped up 3 to 20. Appalachian State jumped up 3 to 21. Boise State dropped 8 to 22. Iowa State was not ranked last week and now is. Welcome to the top 25 and are at 23. Arizona State dropped 7 to 24. And a new non-ranked team last week, Wake Forest, who would have thunk, jumps into the number 25 spot. Welcome to the rankings, Wake Forest. On the other side, at the bottom, it's basically all the same, except for at the bottom, they have Wake Forest at 23, and they have Memphis as the new ranked team on the coaches poll. So welcome to the 2 newcomers. There's not a whole lot of games this week, but before we get into the games, though, this week we're going to go into my favorite category, the college football bowl projections, with my 2 favorite names to announce. And Andrew goes, that's not even close. I've given up after a while because it's just funny how I try now. So once again, like I always do, I start with the 2 college football playoff semifinal games. So we'll start with the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Banagarau and Schlierbach have Ohio State versus Clemson, or Ohio State versus Oklahoma. My bad, jumped the gun on that one. And then in the other semifinal, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Banagarau and Schlierbach have Alabama versus Clemson. And in the Natty, the national championship in New Orleans, they both have, I'm not even going to say it because it's the same thing, they both have Alabama versus Ohio State. Interesting, but again, I think that's going to change here in the next couple weeks, and potentially change after this weekend. Who knows? We'll get into that. I'm going to always start with this one because it's sponsored by a company here in Illinois. The Makers Wanted Bahama Bowl, and I eventually want to get a hold of those people and talk to them about getting us down there and maybe doing a show down there. But we'll see. Banagagarawu has Central Michigan versus Southern Miss, and Schlierbach has UAB versus Kent State. I like Schlierbach's UAB versus Kent State. I think that's going to be a good game if that's what it is. I'm going to go down the list and see where I like the Cherry Bundy Boca Raton Bowl. I just like it. It sounds fun. Banagaru has Toledo versus North Texas, and Schlierbach has Cincinnati versus Ohio. It's an interesting one. I like it. It's not one of the matchups I would have chosen, but I think it will do. I think that would be a good game to watch. Andrew, any bowl games you like? I'll get to that one. That's at the bottom. The New Era Pinstripe Bowl. Banagaguru and Schlierbach both have one team the same. They both have Michigan State. Banagaguru has Michigan State versus Duke, and Schlierbach has Michigan State versus Pittsburgh. I like either of those matchups. I personally like Schlierbach's a little bit more. I think Pittsburgh's going to be one of those teams that would give Michigan State a run for its money. But it would be a fun game to watch. Now we're getting into some good ones. I like this one a lot. The San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. Banagaguru has Washington versus Iowa, and Schlierbach has Washington versus Michigan. I like either one of those. I think those are great matchups. I personally would go Banagaguru. I don't think Michigan deserves to be in a bowl game, but that's just me. All right, the Cheez-It Bowl, just because I always laugh at the Cheez-It commercials because the cheese is always funny. Banagaguru has Arizona versus TCU, and Schlierbach has Texas Tech versus Washington State. Now, for my first one, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Banagaguru has SMU versus Notre Dame, and Schlierbach has SMU versus Georgia. SMU, sorry for your loss. I mean, am I wrong, though? I mean, no, you're right. I never know. But let's be honest. If you had to put money on that, who are you putting money on? Notre Dame and Georgia, right? And here's the other one. Here's one that I don't understand. The Red Box Bowl. They both have Banagaguru and Schlierbach have USC. Banagaguru has USC versus Michigan, my bad. And Schlierbach has USC versus Iowa. I don't understand how USC is even in one of the later bowl games. I think they should be in an early one. They've had a terrible season. They don't have their star quarterback. The only thing they have are big receivers. And potentially U of I could be in a bowl game, just for everybody out there. But, yeah. And here's my other one, the Capital One Orange Bowl. You have Banagaguru has Virginia versus Georgia, which, if that happens, that would be potentially a good matchup. I do like that one. And Schlierbach has Wake Forest versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame wins the Orange Bowl. Yeah, but it's Notre Dame. So Andrew's one that he wants. Honestly, this is now becoming my favorite because I love it, and I do agree that whoever wins just has to yell, "We're great," or the announcers has to, when they win, they have to go, "They're great." It is the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Banagaguru and Schlierbach both have Arizona State versus Virginia Tech. You down for that one? All right. Yeah, I would love to see the odds on that one. The Citrus Bowl. Now, these are all the same. I'm just going to read them. The Valero Alamo Bowl, they both have Texas versus Utah. Citrus Bowl, they both have Florida versus Wisconsin. The Outback Bowl, they both have Auburn versus Minnesota. The Rose Bowl, they both have Oregon versus Penn State. Now, they're assuming that Ohio State beats Penn State, but because Penn State has a better record than Minnesota, Penn State gets the invitation to the Rose Bowl, which I don't think can be the case. I think Minnesota, if they lose to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, barring barring Ohio State losing at any point this season, if Ohio State loses to Penn State, which I don't think they've played each other yet, and or Ohio State loses to Minnesota, Minnesota gets the Rose Bowl. I think Minnesota gets the Rose Bowl no matter what if they make the Big Ten championship game. And Ohio State makes the playoffs. If Ohio State makes the playoffs, Minnesota should be in the Big Ten or the Rose Bowl. I think that's how it should go. And if you don't agree with me, well, you're a loser. The All-State Sugar Bowl. They both have Baylor versus LSU. LSU, congratulations on your Sugar Bowl win. Yeah, I don't have any more. Any other ones you want to hear? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so, but that's what I'm saying. So, then they're assuming that Wisconsin then gets the head-to-head win because if Penn State, so let's say Minnesota wins this week against Maryland, which they should, and we'll get into their odds and everything like that here coming up in a couple minutes. But so Minnesota takes care of business, beats Maryland, goes into then comes home and plays Penn State in Minnesota and loses to Penn State. Now you have a tie for the Big Ten West. And in that case, Minnesota's loss to Penn State looks better than Wisconsin. So Minnesota would still be number one in the West. Well, yes, right now they're leading the West. But Wisconsin's loss to U of I, an unranked team, literally almost dead last in the West, is a worse loss than if Minnesota loses to Penn State. So they would still should still be number one in the West. Now, say they lose to Iowa, then yes, Wisconsin jumps Minnesota. But say Minnesota beats Penn State, beats Iowa, should handedly whoop Northwestern, and then Wisconsin comes to town. By the way, for everybody out there, I don't think you understand, Wisconsin and Minnesota hate each other. So Wisconsin comes last week of the season, November 30th, and barring Wisconsin losing again, Wisconsin's at Ohio State this weekend. So Wisconsin needs to win out to have any chance. But if Minnesota wins out and goes to the Big Ten championship, this is what I'm talking about. Minnesota, if they play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game and lose, and Ohio State makes the playoffs, Minnesota should be in the Rose Bowl. It should not be Penn State because Penn State lost to Minnesota and did not play in the conference championship game. But if Minnesota beats Ohio State and Minnesota doesn't get the playoff bid, then yes, they're going to get the Rose Bowl and they're going to the Rose Bowl. So realistically, Minnesota's playing for the Rose Bowl right now because there is no way they're making the playoffs. That's just my take on it. But let's go into college football Week 8 review and Week 9 preview real quick. So the Week 8 review, let me get back to it. So we got a few games on tap. The first game is for Week 8 review. Do you have that game? Or did you not put that up there? All right, well, we're skipping the Week 8 review. Just know U of I beat Wisconsin. Let's go Week 9 preview. So Week 9 preview, first game up is number 9 Auburn versus number 2 LSU. LSU is an 11-point favorite. Auburn just came off beating Arkansas. No shocker there, 51-10. And LSU beat Mississippi State 36-13. Again, no shocker there. Those teams aren't high-caliber teams in the SEC right now. This is going to be a close game. I think Auburn's hungry. I think Auburn is getting ready for the end of the season against Alabama. And I think LSU is going to look at this game as a cakewalk and be looking at Alabama. So I'm giving LSU a 3-point win. Andrew says he's giving LSU 6. So he's on the same boat as me probably. All right. So, yes, he's right. Auburn's got a top 5 defense, but he's on the same boat as me as he thinks LSU, right? LSU is going to be looking ahead. All right. So, next. We have this game. We were a little iffy because there's not a lot of good high-caliber games, but I threw this one there because of implications it could have down the line. You have Maryland, who is 3-4, at number 7. I think it's the other way around. I think it's – oh, no, it isn't Minneapolis. My bad. You have Maryland at Minnesota, number 17 Minnesota, who's 7-0. Minnesota is 16.5 point favorites. Maryland lost to Indiana 34-28 last weekend, and Minnesota just ran over Rutgers 42-7. I'm giving Minnesota a 20-point win. I don't think they're going to struggle against Maryland. They just got to make sure they're not looking ahead to Penn State. No, I know. I just think this Minnesota team's just too good. Andrew says he's got him, giving him a 14-point win. All right, next. All right, the big one. This one literally has playoff implications drastically and could cost the Big Ten a chance at a team in the college football playoffs. Their only best choice would be Penn State at this point after this game, if it goes the way I'm hoping it goes. You have number 13 Wisconsin at number 3 Ohio State. Wisconsin is 6-1, and Ohio State is 7-0. Ohio State is a 14.5 point favorite. Wisconsin lost last week to Lovey's team, the U of I, 24-23, and Ohio State literally just whooped. I don't even know. I can't even think of a proper term for it. They just put a beat down on Northwestern 50. Yeah, we really can't say it on air, but they put a beat down on Northwestern 52-3. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than it is, and I think Wisconsin's going to run the ball like crazy, and they're just going to run all over Ohio State. And I truly think Wisconsin's going to win by a field goal. Andrew's got Wisconsin by a touchdown. There you go. Next. I do agree with that. Problem is you have those other teams in front of them. But we'll see. I do like that. Andrew did say that if Ohio State loses, Notre Dame jumps into the top 5, which I don't disagree. I think they'll jump in 2-5, but you do have some other teams in front of them. But next. All right, we threw this one in here because it's local Illinois. Oh, I don't have this because it's got my top 25. My bad. You have Illinois at Purdue. Illinois upset Wisconsin last week. Purdue lost to Iowa 26-20. Purdue is a 9.5 point favorite. This is a very close game. I think U of I pulls this one out again, pulls a win out of this, and gets a couple steps closer to becoming potentially bowl eligible. They're not going to be in a big bowl game, but they're going to be in a bowl game that will be good for that team and be good to solidify Lovey's job for another 2 years. So I think U of I is going to win this by a touchdown. So Andrew says he thinks it's going to be flipped in the odds. He thinks U of I should be the 9.5 odds, and that's where he's going with. Yeah, plus 9.5 for Illinois. So we both have U of I. Let's go U of I. Do something good. Next. All right, boys and girls. This is where I get excited. So you have number 8 Notre Dame, who is 5-0. Once again, they have played one less game than everybody. At number 19 Michigan, who is 5-2. Literally, this is even. And Andrew almost dropped his jaw when he's like, what are the odds for the Notre Dame-Michigan game? I go, it's even. He goes, even? Even? Notre Dame had a bye last week, and Michigan lost to Penn State 28-21. This is going to be a dogfight. For everybody to understand, trying to figure out why it's even, and I had to explain this to Andrew, it is under the lights in Ann Arbor on ABC, 7 o'clock. It is the college football game of the week. You will have Kirk Herbstreit and Reese Davis. Yeah, there will be the two big honchos. They're not going to be there for college game day. They're going to be in North Dakota for North Dakota, South Dakota State. I think that's joke, whatever. Should be at Notre Dame, Michigan this week, but whatever. Notre Dame had time to rest. This is their only other big ranked opponent this season. Only reason why Michigan didn't drop out of the rankings after the loss, which they will after this loss, is because they lost to Penn State. If they hadn't lost to Penn State and they lost to someone else, they would have been out of the rankings, and that really would have hurt Notre Dame. But Notre Dame's going to come out of this. I think they're going to win it by 2 touchdowns. And that's not me just saying it. I think this offensive line has really stepped forward and changed. Ian Book's going to have all day to throw the ball. They got big receivers. And realistically, it all depends on what Shea Patterson shows up. If Shea Patterson that shows up in the second half of the Penn State game, that shows up, then it's going to be a little bit of a tighter game. But if you have the Shea Patterson that showed up in the second half of the U of I game, then Notre Dame's going to run the ball all over this team. Notre Dame's running attack is outstanding. Notre Dame's defense is outstanding. There are a few flaws in that defense, but it is a top 15 defense in the country. Sorry, say that one more time. So he's saying 17 points, and he says Clement, the tight end for Notre Dame, is going to have 2 touchdowns in the win. I mean, I don't disagree with that. But like I said, they got big receivers on that Notre Dame side. And I don't know if you've watched many Notre Dame games recently, Andrew, but this offensive line is what I wish the Bears would have. Yeah, and Chicago Bears, take note. Jesus. Look at how much time Ian Book has. Yeah. Literally. And also the offensive line is up for the combined offensive line award again. Like they have the last 3 years. So let's see what happens. But yeah. So I have Notre Dame winning by 2 touchdowns, but potentially could be a lot worse. It depends on what Michigan team shows up this weekend. So is that the last one? No, I'm wrong. The last one we have before I get out of here and Andrew comes on really fast, unless he just wants me to take it over. Are we going to have time for that? Tom got class? All right. So, yeah, we'll be on a little bit later. We threw this one in here because I don't think it's a high-powered one, but this one could cost Oregon a chance at the playoffs. And that is Washington State, who is 4-3, at number 11 Oregon, who is 6-1. Remember, Oregon's only loss is to a higher-ranked opponent higher-ranked team right now, and that is number 9 Auburn, and that was game 1 of the season. Oregon is a 14-point favorite. Washington State came off a win last week, beating Colorado 41-10, and Oregon had a bit of a scare, beating Washington 35-31. They almost lost to Washington. That was probably one of their only tough tests of the season, too. So Oregon needs a lot more help than Notre Dame does, but both teams do need a lot of help. I think Oregon's going to go on and put up 20 points on this team, and it's going to be over with. It is in, I can't pronounce that name of that stadium. It's Auschwitz or whatever. They're in Oregon. That stadium's going to be rocking. Unfortunately, this game's probably on at 9:30 at night. Yep. Wow. I hit it on the head. Unfortunately, I don't stay up for those games. I wish I could, but I'm always just so exhausted. Andrew gets it. He works nights. I work early mornings. So my times to sleep in are weekends. Andrew's times to sleep in are during the day when no one's around. So those are what I have. A few more games out there. I'll throw one or two more out there. I'll do local ones more so than anything. Iowa's going to beat Northwestern. Northwestern is literally trash. Pat Fitzgerald, this might be his last season with Northwestern. They might give him one more season, but Northwestern might be looking for a new coach here soon. Andrew, any games you're looking forward to? Ooh, that's a good one. I would watch out for Boston College. Where's that one? In Clemson? No, never look. Clemson's a 30-point favorite, though. Yeah, I mean, you never want to look past Boston College, but Trevor Lawrence has looked literally like dog poop this season. He's regressed a lot, but I still think Clemson's going to win it by a touchdown or two. Any other ones you got in mind? Where is it? Arizona State, UCLA? Ooh, that's a tight one. Well, it wouldn't be an upset, really. Arizona State has a 3.5-point favorite. Yeah, I'm going Arizona State. The other one I want to go into is just because it's a rivalry in another sport, actually in two sports, lacrosse and basketball, and it is Duke North Carolina weekend, folks. It's the first one of the year. We'll have about 5 more of these because they just play each other all the time. We'll have 2 more big ones in probably 3 more big ones in basketball. We'll probably have 2 or 3 in lacrosse. Those are literally the 2 biggest. That is the biggest rivalry, I would say. Yeah, next to Notre Dame has a couple of them, but Duke, nothing beats Duke North Carolina almost. But that's why lacrosse is such a big one for everybody out there that doesn't think it. UNC is actually a 3.5-point favorite, but I think Duke's gonna win. NIU Akron. NIU is 23.5-point favorites. I'm going NIU. Are you really? All right. So we made our predictions. Anything else, Andrew? All right. So those are my predictions. Notre Dame, literally game of the week. Well, thank God because we are doing a little bit more stuff this Saturday, and I want to be home to watch that game. I might be sleeping on the couch. Update comes Wednesday next week. What happened? I'm putting it in now. We are talking hockey on Saturday. More so because I want to update it. And it's not going to just be hockey. It's more going to be United Center update because I know they got their new Jumbotron in. And I'm going to update everybody how that looks. And, yeah. Oh, and Pick Whitney's at the United Center. Booyah. Woo. All right. So, I'm Tom McKinney. You can follow me at McLovin6193 on Instagram and Twitter. It's right there. Right there. See, right there. Right. There you go. Right there. On Instagram and Twitter. Yeah, I've been your awesome host, and I do my job every day. And next up is Andrew. And boom.
Throughout the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, Judy Finelli established herself as a masterful juggler and performer, making appearances everywhere from Carnegie Hall to Sesame Street. With her loving heart, she has brought warm smiles to children everywhere she has performed. She even started the San Francisco School for the Circus Arts, but shortly after, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and by 2004, she was completely paralyzed. In celebration of her accomplishments, and to fight the illness that had crippled Judy, a group of students from the San Francisco Clown College have compiled the perfect holiday present for those who want to laugh and to help those struggling with the illness. The goal has been set at $1 million raised, with 100% of any dollar made to be donated to the Judy Finelli Fund, which is helping find a cure to multiple sclerosis. Visit www.circuscenter.org to make a donation or to purchase a framed Naked Clown photo or the full Naked Clown 12-month calendar. Remember, 100% of every dollar is donated and goes to fighting MS.
Man, are you still working out? It's like 1,000 degrees.
Intense heat is nothing. To get an intense workout, you gotta be intense.
Our friend here is getting an intense workout with the intense cool of his Hydrotech Cool Breeze shoes, which brings your feet a cooling sensation that is the best on the market today. Can only be explained with one word:
Intense!
Whether you're working out hard or just taking a stroll, these shoes have got your back, or I should say, your feet.
Aren't these shoes intense?
Maybe a little too intense, but there's no doubt they're cool.
How's it going, everybody here? Welcome back to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. I am, of course, not Tom McKinney. I am the beautiful, the voluptuous, the sensational Mr. Andrew Valentin, and I am back here once again giving you guys the sports news here. I hope you all are having a fantastic one. By the way, again, give it up, everybody, for Tom McKinney, my man back there now producing for myself. He did an excellent job up there for the David Ross and, of course, college football. It's always much more fun when we're able to do it together, but I'm always very impressed when he does it himself. So good job, Tom. Way to go, bud. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy that first half stuff, make sure, of course, to like, comment, questions, all that kind of stuff down below. We'd love to hear from you guys. And to kick this second half off, let's get it going because we got to talk about, oh my, it's the Chicago Bears. You know, and I wish I could say that in a happier mood, but man, things have just gotten really, really rough. This past week, they obviously played the New Orleans Saints, still with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, We were kind of all hoping for some bigger things, but of course, the Bears saw themselves kind of faltering big time, and unfortunately for the New Orleans Saints, now it was ugly. It was 36-25 at the end of the game. Saints came up with that victory. Teddy Bridgewater threw for 2 touchdowns, 281 yards. Latavius Murray came out of nowhere, backing up Alvin Kamara there. A lot of people were not really sure how this one was going to play out with him being at the running back spot, but Latavius Murray, 27 carries, 119 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and he was really strong on the passing game as well. Then you've got Michael Thomas, who had 9 catches for 131 yards. He was strong in it. I mean, overall, not a bad performance from the Bears either. I mean, Trubisky, 34 of 54, 251 yards and 2 touchdowns. Allen Robinson had 10 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown as well. But obviously, this was not a strong showing in any way. I mean, at one point, it was a complete blowout. I mean, the Bears at the half, I mean, it was a tight game. Don't get me wrong. It was 12-10 at the half. After the first half, 12-10. But then all of a sudden, at the end of the third, Saints pour on 2 touchdowns, and then they add on a few extras, and the Bears luckily were able to put up another 15 points, get a 2-point conversion in there as well. A nice onside kick, by the way. That was really good. I don't know how that Saints player didn't recover it, but still, at the same time, it didn't look good. It wasn't a good show. And even though, Trubisky played well at the fourth quarter and all that stuff, that's not when he's supposed to be playing well. We need to see him playing good now. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot that the Bears, the team has to really go through. I mean, look, it doesn't all fall on Trubisky. Obviously, there's a lot going on here right now. But let's start with the whole quarterback situation, right? Because that's where kind of a lot of things have been concentrated on, okay? So for Trubisky, obviously there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, when you look at him and his stats and stuff, okay? Like I said, yesterday in the fourth quarter was not too bad. But for what we saw right now, I mean, for what we saw as the whole game, it's not where we want to be. That's not where they need to be. We need to see a whole lot more come from it. And for what I was seeing in that moment in time, I mean, it was rough. It was rough. He has 839 yards, which right now, that ranks in the bottom of the NFL. I believe it's 27th right now or 29th in the NFL in passing yards. It's 167 passing yards per game, if you guys don't know that, okay? Then in passing attempts, he's only averaging 7.1 yards per pass attempt, all right? About 27th in the NFL, so he's not trying very hard on a lot of these. As far as like throws that have been like on the dime, on the money, he's only had 3 of them. He's had 7 interceptable passes thrown thus far. 8 passes have been considered to be dangerous, and of course the 5 touchdowns, which right now ranks 29th. He's down spiraling. I don't understand where Matt Nagy's been trying to prove to us that this thing has been some sort of growth, that we've been seeing some sort of a growth. I'm not seeing it. I don't understand where. I get it. He's still young. I get it. It's second year with his offense. I'm still giving him that other year, but the more and more I'm watching him play, the less and less more confident I am that he can be a quarterback here in the NFL. And it's because I look at the other quarterbacks that are out there, and even from the time that they were young QBs, yes, like an Aaron Rodgers, he had time to sit, he had time to learn, right? Russell Wilson, he didn't really have time to sit and learn. He kind of got thrusted into the fire. But he knew how to do this. He knew how to be a quarterback. And he's smaller. But he's got a better arm. He's got a better ability to convert what's happening on the defense and see what's going down and make the right throw. There's a big difference. Red zone completion, 42.9%, so 43% basically. That's not good. That's not good. His deep ball completion is one of the worst, 31.5%. His pressured completion, so when he's getting pressure put on him, it's 29%. And I know a lot, what's with all these numbers and stuff. These are the type of numbers that you don't hear about, except from us, the people who go on the air and talk about this, because these are the ones that really count, because that says How does he do when he's getting into the red zone when he needs to score a touchdown? Obviously, he's not doing very well. 42% is not great. That's not good at all. Deep ball completions, you have to be able to throw the ball deep at least a few times. He doesn't do that very well. When the pressure's on, obviously, yes, his offensive line has not been good. They have not done their job at all. Right? Cody Whitehair's whiffing on blocks. You got James Daniel, who's missing all kinds of stuff. Bobby Massey, again, he's the worst right tackle, I think, in the NFL. Charles Leno now is even giving up pass rushes. But it's 29%. You can't do that. You have to be able to connect with your receivers. When he gets time, he has a 76.5% completion rating. That's really good. That puts him in the top 10 for completions, but he's got to be able to sit in the pocket and make that throw. And that's what that says. Otherwise, he's terrible. I'm sorry, but he's looked farther and farther from being a franchise quarterback. But it's not all on Mitch, obviously. There's a lot more to this, but with everything that we've seen from him, I mean, I'll give you a few more things before we move from Mitch, all right? From passes 1 to 20, so when he has 20 through passes 1 through 20, he's thrown for over 400 yards. He has 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he has a quarterback rating around 89. That's really good. Or a passer rating of 89, which is really good. That is the type of quarterback you need. But when you start throwing in the 21 to 30 range, that's when he starts to really get at his worst. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 198 yards, 54% completion rating. That's not good. You can't have that. Can't do it. It's ugly. He plays better in the first half. He has a 93 rating in the first half. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Second half, all of a sudden, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 72 rating. It's not the worst, but it's got to be better than that. But he's been very good also in the last 2 minutes of a half. That always seems to be kind of his bread and butter. He's better on road games than he is at home, which is kind of shocking. Very true, yeah, the fans have been jumping on him a lot, but it's something that needs to change in a heartbeat. Obviously, he plays better when he's ahead because when they're behind, he plays terrible. The second quarter is his best moment. The third quarter is always his worst. When there's 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he's almost as bad as he is in the third. I mean, a 49.8 rating in the third quarter, 51.6 rating in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes left. Interceptions in both of those. I don't know. I really don't know. Again, my whole theory on him is you can keep him. If you want to pick up the 5th-year option, fine. But I would seriously continue to look for competition for quarterbacks and consider looking for your next draft prospect. But obviously, it's not all him. There's a lot on here, and it goes with Matt Nagy and play calling too. So you look at the play calling, obviously, if you look at those stats, if you look up those numbers, you can kind of see the Bears have ran like 235 pass plays. 235 pass plays in their time. That's 65.3% of the time they're throwing the football. So they're running the ball 34.7% of the time. That's 125 running plays through 6 games. Last year, we only threw the ball 54% of the time throughout the whole season. I know Matt Nagy likes the passing offense. He comes from Andy Reid. Andy Reid likes to throw the ball, but Andy Reid also knows how to be able to run the ball too. And it seems like Matt Nagy's trying to move us away from being that and being more of Sean McVay, Cliff Kingsbury, widespread offense. And look, it's not the worst thing in the world to have a more efficient passing attack. That's fine. But you have to have some sort of structure on the ground game, and they have yet to find it. They have yet to even figure out who their starting running back is, it seems, when it should be David Montgomery. He's proven to be, I think, the best and the strongest of the bunch. I like Tariq Cohen, but he's more of your gadget guy, your specialty guy. You might as well put him out as a receiver at this point. I mean, you don't even play Mike Davis anymore. It just to me, this just says exactly what needs to be fixed. Get more running going. Now I know, again, offensive line needs to step their game up. Can't let the pass rush, can't let the run stoppers get to these guys. You have to be able to set it up, open the holes, and allow these guys to be able to come through. I know it's not always going to look like that, but in the NFC North, where the defenses are really good now, from the Packers to the Lions to the Vikings, you have got to get some sort of pressure. And for the rest of the league, everybody's playing pretty good defense now. The Saints, they weren't considered a really good defensive team, and now these guys are stepping up. You have to get some sort of pressure. You have to get some sort of push so that this way we can run the ball more, so we can establish a strong ground game. So this way Trubisky doesn't have to throw the ball as much as we've been asking him to. Because you can see, again, when he's thrown 1 to 20 passes, he's been at his best. As soon as he starts going outside of that range, it starts to look ugly. So if we can keep him somewhere around 25, 30 passes thrown in a game, we might be able to actually be functional. If we can get a 25, 30, 30 runs a game type of running back, which David Montgomery I think can be, I think this Bears team could actually be fine. But you have to establish some sort of attack on the ground, and you need the offensive line to make a push. But again, I don't know if this is the offensive line to do it. I was never a fan of Bobby Massey. I'm iffy on Cody White here. It's hard to tell. And now the worst thing is they're going off and making the defense even more. They're making the defense even worse, because if the offense isn't performing, then the defense is a problem, because they're getting frustrated. They're looking at things saying, we're on the field all the time. The offense is not performing, so we have to pick up the pace. We have to try and keep it 0-0, and they just can't do it. And obviously you've got guys that aren't, either they're not performing at the same level anymore, or you have guys that are kind of getting stuck and locked down, it seems, right? Khalil Mack, for some reason, he doesn't seem to be picking up the pace, right? You got Akeem Hicks, who's kind of hurt right now. Roquan Smith is trying to do the best that he can, but even he's missing on some plays. Danny Trevathan's kind of been getting trapped every now and then on blocks. I mean, it's tough. I get it. It's tough. But the turnovers haven't been there. I mean, the pressure hasn't seemed to be there like it should be. Yes, they started out strong. Yes, they've been showing the ability to at least get to the quarterback and cause some pressure, but it doesn't feel the same like last year. And I'm just curious as to why that would be. The only thing I can think of, and the only thing that I've really heard mentioned that could be the real reason why, is because there's frustrations with the fact that the offense is not performing. So I don't know what the solution can be to this team outside of, look, get a ground game established, start finding an answer for your quarterback, or find another quarterback to be at least a fill-in for the season, and start looking for your next answer and get some continuity there so that the defense can finally feel like the pressure's off of them. This team is still not bad. This team can still be very good. But projections have now put them from going 12-4, 11-5, 10-6. Now, if they're lucky to go 8-8, that's a win for them. That's not a win. That's a huge, huge step backwards. We want to see this team in the playoffs. We just did. We were one kick away from being there. And obviously, yeah, that sucked. And who knows, maybe if we win that game, maybe that momentum carries over into next year. I don't know if we go to a Super Bowl. Maybe we do. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. But we were all confident that the momentum from last year was going to carry over to this year. Yes, we lost Vic Fangio, but Chuck Pagano's coming in. Right? He's made the defense still look formidable. Turnovers aren't there, but it still looks pretty good. Still top 5, still up there. But offensively, there's just no structure. I mean, Matt Nagy's the guy who calls the plays. It's not Helfrich. Maybe you got to lead on Brad Childress. I know he's in there as an offensive assistant. He's kind of helping out with the offense a little bit, trying to get things going. Maybe talk to him a little bit. He's a heck of a coach. Guy was the head coach for the Vikings for a while. He produced some high-octane offenses out there over the past years. Something to consider. Go to the veteran coach. Ask him, hey, Brad, how do we fix this thing? You got any ideas? Do I still believe in Mitch? Yeah. I think he can still get the job done. I'm not leaning on him to be an elite quarterback. I think he'll be good. And that's all I'm asking is him to be good. Give me 30 and 10 on the season for touchdowns and interceptions. I think it's fine. Give me 3,000 yards. I think we're fine. Complete 60% of your passes. I'm okay. But this is not all right. I can't work with this as a fan and as an analyst, as somebody who wants to see the Bears do well. I can't do it. As a football fan in general, I'm not okay with this. We should be seeing better because we saw it last year. What changed from last year to this year, I don't know. But quarterback, play calling, and rallying the offense so that the defense is not frustrated and on the field so much is going to help this team in a major way. Bears can pull it together. I believe he can. I know Tom believes they can. I know there's a lot of fans that believe they can. But we got to see more of it on the field. We can't just dream of it. We want to see it. I'm not sure what the major change is, but I hope the Bears can figure it out very, very soon. All right. So last thing we're going to be talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, as you guys know, we usually do a recap, but there's a lot of games we could have gone through on that recap lately, and, you know, instead of trying to pour through every single game, I mean, we'll probably give a few here and there, but for what we have right now for you guys, it's an NFL. It's not halftime yet. I realize that now because we're only in Week 7. We just got out of Week 7. We're going into Week 8. But because we're going into the halftime point of the season. The what? It is, yes. So for some of these teams, it is. You're starting to. It is like the halfway point of the season because Week 7 for a lot, it's 7 games. You know, so you're kind of getting to that point. But I thought, hey, let's kind of look at the playoff picture. Let's take a look at how this thing's panning out, right? It's that time where we're already analyzing who could be there because kind of it's already setting into shape. Yeah, kind of. I mean, but now it seems like it's kind of like because things have happened, right? Things have changed. Players have gotten hurt. You know, momentum's kind of been killed for some. So it's getting interesting. This is not set in stone, obviously. It feels like it might be, but yeah, one team might actually be set in stone, and it's because the forces of evil for some. I'm not evil, but you know what I mean. Yes. It's not looking good. That jersey might be coming to me a lot sooner. I don't want that jersey. Tom wants the jersey. Get in. What's your size? There you go. Get him in an extra large. You know. There you go. Yeah. He wants the red one. I don't think she got the red one. I think she got me a silver one or blue one. All right. Well, if you can get a red one, get a red one. But yeah. So let's look at the playoff picture here. Let's kind of go through these. We'll analyze these a little bit. We'll go through them. So here we go. So we'll start it off. Obviously, you got the divisional round. These are the 4 teams so far that have kind of not punched their tickets, but look like they're going to punch their tickets to officially have that bye week to be able to kind of settle down and kind of relax and cool things off. So on the AFC side, of course, you got the undefeated New England Patriots and then the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, yeah. Who's shocked by that? And then on the NFC side, you have the undefeated San Francisco 49ers. I can't believe I'm saying that. Against the 6-1, unfortunately, New Orleans Saints. Yeah. Now, I will say, obviously, look, New England right now, it couldn't get easier, right? Pat Mahomes is – what? Give him the trophy? Tom says give him the trophy. I don't say that just yet, but look, Patrick Mahomes right now is out possibly 3 to 6 weeks with the Chiefs, which means what? They could be longer. It could be for the rest of the season for all we know. But they're saying there's an optimism that it could be just 3 weeks, which means he would be back just in time for the game against the New England Patriots. Because the Patriots and Chiefs do play. So, but New England right now, if Patrick Mahomes is out for 6 weeks or even longer than that, then New England has pretty much just cakewalked through the rest of the NFL. Because the Chiefs, even if he comes back, though, remember, the Chiefs' defense, they are utterly abysmal. I mean, you obviously losing D Ford has been a major factor. You lost your pass rush. They still have good defensive linemen, don't get me wrong, but having a guy like D Ford who could come off the edge and give a pass rush, you need that. You need that. It helps a lot. The linebackers have been playing average. The defensive backs have been all over for the place. I mean, they've been either average or below average. They haven't been anywhere near being good. So Tyrann Mathieu, I think, was, look, it's a nice signing, but, he's not making a major factor change to what they should have been. They need help on the corners, especially if you're playing New England. It's not looking good right now. I mean, the Chiefs, they're still in it, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be a fight. You can't just lean on your quarterback. You need to get the ground game going. They have too many running backs they're trying to share the ball on with. The offensive line is giving up big plays every now and then, and the defense is not playing well. Meanwhile, you got the 49ers. Look, San Francisco's defense is outstanding. They are outstanding. The what? They're doing wonders for Tom's 0-7 team. Yeah. Look, that defense is unstoppable. I said it in the draft, though. I said Nick Bosa was going to look better than his brother. He looks stronger, faster, more agile, better hands, better footwork, everything than Joey. Nick is the more dominant brother. Nick is playing on a whole different planet right now than Joey ever could. What? Best decision to leave college, Tom says. I agree. He focused. He said, I'm leaving Ohio State. I'm going for the draft. Boom. What is he? He's a top defensive end right now. I think he's a surefire in for the Defensive Player of the Year. The only thing I question with that team is, can the running game continue to hold up for it with Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida? Because those guys are a little banged up right now. What? Oh, yeah. And Godwin, of course, too. Look, this team could be good, and now they could be better because obviously they got Emmanuel Sanders. Just like the Patriots got Mohamed Sanu, which I think they made that trade in the middle of the Jets game. I wouldn't put it past Bill Belichick. I would not put it past him. Well, you saw that picture of him with the smile on his face. I bet that's when they said, "Hey, Belichick, we just got Mohamed Sanu." Because that announcement came at like 5 a.m. the next day. I was like, it's Tuesday on like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, just for a second-round pick, which they're going to get back because they're going to probably trade somebody and get like a second and a third-round pick. So then it's like, oh, we really didn't lose anything. Or they're going to trade that first-round pick and a bunch of draft picks, and then it's like, oh, well, we really didn't need it. Because New England just works like that. They're the evil empire. That place is the Death Star. As far as I'm concerned, that is the Death Star. You've got the empire, the emperor right there in Bill Belichick, and you got Darth Vader with Tom Brady. Oh, I like that, except they know how to keep the Death Star alive. I like that. That's a good one. Yeah, no Luke. The only Luke Skywalker there is Eli Manning. And that's your Luke Skywalker. Yeah. Yeah, just like the movies, baby. Just like the movies. It really does match up pretty well, I got to say. Oh, my God. Well, look, hopefully there's a Ray out there somewhere. It's tough, though. Can Jimmy Garoppolo be that guy? Look, I'll say this. He's doing a great job managing the game for them. And getting Emmanuel Sanders is definitely going to help. But, look, and then I'll say this for the Saints, too. Drew Brees, if he comes back 100% healthy, I would like that, too. Yeah. But I will say this. If Brees can come back 100% healthy, the Saints should be able to cruise through the rest of the season. I don't know if they finish with just one loss. They might get another one. They might get a third one. But I think they should be able to go in stride. But I'll say this really quick, too. Don't wait around for Teddy Bridgewater to stay on this team. He might go looking for a contract. It's contract year for him, ladies and gentlemen. He'll go on a free agency and maybe try and see what he's worth. Minnesota. Yeah, who knows? I heard one guy when I was at the bar watching the game say we might have just seen the Bears' future future quarterback. Yeah, that's what I was saying too. All right, so let's go into the wild card look. Let's see how this one looks. So, excuse me. So you've got Texans versus Ravens, which should be a pretty good matchup. I would say if you're going to look at that team right now, I would probably say Texans might have the Ravens for you. Tom says Ravens. This is going to be a close game because Texans have better offense, but the Ravens have the better defense right now. I would say probably Texans because I think that offense is getting to a high-powered point, but it's obviously if everybody's healthy. I don't know if everybody's healthy on that team right now. But the Ravens are looking very good. The defense is looking really strong. Lamar Jackson is an incredible weapon. The running around stuff isn't going to last forever, but it's working for him right now, and I think it's going to handle he could easily handle the Texans if he can't really throw the ball the way that he wants to. It'll be interesting because as good as J.J. Watt is, I don't think he can hang with a guy like Lamar Jackson. He's too quick. On the other side of things, obviously the Bills being 5-1, who saw this one against the Indianapolis Colts? I disagree. I'm going with Colts. Tom just said Bills. I'm going Colts. Yeah, I would like the Bills to do something too. That would be great. That would be nice. Bills versus Patriots would be nice. Right? Get that little rematch because the Bills were not far off from beating the Patriots, mind you that. Only 6-point difference. Only a 6-point difference. But I like Jacoby Brissett as a quarterback for the Colts. He's done a great job. People don't give him enough credit. They've done a great job, and the defense is really coming together there too. And plus, much to Tom's chagrin, I'm sure, they have one of the best young offensive lines right now in the NFL. You know what? I like Roquan Smith, but right now that offensive line is abysmal, so it might have benefited us greatly for sure. But I mean, look, Quentin Nelson right now is probably if you could give an offensive lineman an MVP award, you should probably give it to him for sure. But I mean, I do have to say I'm going to go with the Colts. I just think right now they're kind of in sync. They're leading the division right now. I'm liking it. I like this fight, though. I think it's a close fight. I'm giving it to the Colts, though. But I'm not too far off from saying Bills either, so Tom's not too far off either. All right, and on the other side, obviously, the NFC North for the wild card. Vikings and Packers. Stadium collapses. Yeah, I'm with Tom. Stadium collapses. Look, I'll say Aaron Rodgers does crazy things. He's a really good quarterback. Not going to deny that whatsoever, okay? What? He's not been a true playoff quarterback. Let's say that. He's played well in the playoffs before, but it's been a long time since that's really happened. But against the Vikings, I'm taking Green Bay. I mean, because here's the thing. When the lights are on for Kirk Cousins, what does he always do? He regresses. He coils back. He doesn't strike. He doesn't go out there to kill. He does well on Sundays. Monday? Nah. Thursday? Nope. Playoff? Nothing. He's got one playoff appearance. He doesn't even have a touchdown in that. And that was back when he was a Redskin. Exactly. So it's I don't know. Yeah, and I mean, it's I don't know what to say for the Vikings. Good defense, but he plays better when the defense doesn't play well. I don't know how that works, but sure, okay, whatever. I guess. But yeah, Packers all the way. And then Seattle Seahawks, Dallas Cowboys. Tom says Seahawks, I hate you, Jake. I love you, Jake, but Seahawks. I'm with Seahawks too. Russell Wilson, MVP right now. Best quarterback in the NFL. Dallas Cowboys, look, I think the defense might be coming along again. The offense might be. What's up? Yeah, you were right. Ravens did beat the Seahawks. You were right on that. Lamar Jackson, not MVP, though. No. But Dallas Cowboys, I mean, look, they're coming back. There could be something there, but I still go with the Seahawks. It's Russell Wilson. I don't doubt that man. If anybody knows how to beat a team like Dallas or Green Bay or Minnesota or any team really, it can be the Seattle Seahawks. Pay the refs. Yeah. Yes, but that's the wild card. Now, obviously, there's still some teams that are in the hunt. So these are just the top 5 teams. So surprisingly, at the top of the list in the AFC, you got Oakland. I don't know how that works. I mean, I don't think that's going to hold very strong. But they're right now in the 7th seed. Then you've got Jacksonville at the 8th seed. They're 3-4. They haven't been playing bad. They're not great, but they haven't been playing bad, right? Tennessee Titans, I don't know how they keep hanging around. I know, but I don't know how they keep hanging around. Ryan Tannehill's your quarterback. And I know they just played the Chargers, and the Chargers haven't been doing well, but come on. How does this still work? I don't know either. There's something in the Nashville water. There's got to be. Yeah, because it's not helping the Predators. Good point on that, yeah. Or, getting rid of all your good players is another one, too. All right, then you obviously have Cleveland. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think he'll be there for the rest of this. I think Freddie Kitchens will be there for the rest of the seasons. Tom said fire the coach. I think he'll be there for the rest of the season. I don't know. They're up, they're down, they look good, they look bad. Your quarterback leads the team in interceptions. Your running game seems to be going strong. Your defense plays good one day, and then the next day they seem to, what the bet, and it's all over the place. And then Pittsburgh, I'm surprised with this. I mean, they're hanging in there, kind of tied with the Browns right now in the AFC North. But I just don't. What's up? Who has the North? It's the Ravens. The Ravens have the North because they're 5-2. But the Steelers, I mean, defense is shoddy. Offense looks efficient, but it's only halfway decent. I mean, if that team finishes 8-8, I think they should call it a win. And I think that's where they're headed. I think they're headed to an 8-8 season. And on the NFC side of things, Panthers surprisingly 4-2. Kyle Allen right now has been chosen as the quarterback that is going to be starting this week. Christian McCaffrey, yeah, Tom says Christian McCaffrey MVP. Look, he's in that category. He's a heck of a running back. He's the new breed of running back that's coming in. Him and Saquon are setting the mark, and right now he and Dalvin Cook should be considered for MVP honors, to be honest. I don't know if they're winning it because it is a quarterback league now, but because of how good they're playing, they should at least be considered on it. Outside of that, there's obviously the Los Angeles Rams. I almost called them St. Louis. The Los Angeles Rams, the offense looked fine this past week. I mean, they played pretty well. They were able to win their game, but they played the Falcons. So, I mean, you're not looking at a lot. A 37-10 win for them. I mean, Jared Goff had 2 touchdowns. I think he ran another one in too as well. I mean, look, he played well. The Rams looked pretty decent. The defense looked like it was back on top. But again, it's the Falcons. The Falcons are at the bottom. They're 1-6. Dan Quinn's on the hot seat at this point. I think Matt Ryan's probably at the end of his career right now. Julio Jones will probably want to leave the Falcons pretty soon, or at least he'll maybe soon retire. Who knows? I mean, he's probably getting towards the end of his career himself. He's about 30, 31 years old at this point. So, I mean, I think that team's about ready to implode. Next, you've got the Bears. After that, like I said, Bears are still in it at 3-3. They're still in the hunt for this thing. They just need to string together some more wins. But again, offense needs to come alive. Defense needs to have the ability to believe that the offense can produce points. Yes, they have the head-to-head with Minnesota. So, I mean, look, that division right now in the NFC North is a fight. I would say this is the best division right now because it's a battle. Even the Packers aren't out of this yet. They got a long ways to go. 5-1 looks great now, but come towards the end of the season, they could be with 4 more losses. Who knows? It's a fight to the end. It's going to be a fight to the very end. And then you have the Cardinals underneath them, which I'm shocked by. I forgot that, 3-1 does keep them kind of in the fight. 2-3-1. Lions are 2-3-1. They're behind the Eagles. They're just out of that top 5 range for in the hunt. And this is all coming, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, from NFL.com's playoff picture. That's where this is all these information is coming from. But the Lions aren't too far out of it. The Eagles aren't too far out of it at 3-4. Yeah, Tom doesn't like the Eagles. But, I mean, I'll say this. Cardinals, Eagles, Lions, Bears, Rams, Panthers, NFC North. Yeah, what do you mean, why is it all animals? Because it's the zoo, man. Yeah, because I'll tell you, because much like the wildlife itself, it is survival of the fittest. And the hungriest animal will always, the strongest animal will always survive. That's survival of the fittest, baby. But the NFC North, it's a strong fight. The AFC, it could be tough. Right now, it's all Patriots right now. That's what it's looking like. If I have to go with what? No, it's not even close to all Dolphins. You know what's funny? The Dolphins aren't even the bottom team in the AFC in the hunt. They're second to last. The Bengals are in last place. No. You keep, this is where, when you said you weren't good at math, you keep reversing the numbers. You're seeing 7-0 when it's 0-7. Yes, they're undefeated loss-wise. You confused me there. Yeah, but look, guys, this is just an obviously early playoff picture. From right now, what it's looking like, if everything were to unfold the way it is right now, you've got 49ers and Patriots at the Super Bowl. It's not a bad look. But yeah, it's. I mean, right now, the offense. I'll say this: the Patriots' offense is iffy, but you added Mohamed Sanu, again, probably in the middle of that Monday Night Football game. I wouldn't put it past them. You've added more firepower. You're probably going to get those guys back towards the end of the season. Patriots are going to have a very prolific offensive passing attack when all those guys get back. What? Josh Gordon is on IR, though, but Philip Dorsett looks like he's 100% healthy. And now you've got Sanu, who's a big target for them. They've got a lot of weapons. The only thing they need to maybe add is a tight end. And if they go get a guy like O.J. Howard, all bets are off then. Tom Brady's playing really well. Doesn't look like he's aging like fine wine. And this defense looks unstoppable. They lead the league in turnovers. This is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough fight. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our show here today. I hope you guys have really enjoyed this one. If you guys do want to catch the rest of our show, obviously you guys can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at XBombSports. So guys, make sure to be able to follow us there. If you guys want to find us on our Facebook, it's facebook.com/XBomb, Team XBomb Sports, where you can see seasons 1 and 2. So make sure, guys, to go check out that stuff. If you guys also want to make sure to check out our radio show, Putting Up Points, which obviously Jake and Tyler, they've kind of been off a little bit lately, but they're on every Saturday from 12 to 2, so you guys can check them out there on sportstownchicago.com. So make sure to go give them some love there. Also, guys, too, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at XBomb Productions here. Like, comment, subscribe here, all that good stuff. Make sure to leave questions, comments down below. We want to hear from you guys. We want to know what you guys have been doing and stuff, what you guys think about all these things that we've been talking about here, the NFL playoff pictures, the Bears stuff, all that good stuff. And also, guys, too, Tom found these things that we're going to be doing now. We're going to kind of hook up with them. We're going to start working with them a little bit. What? Yeah, so basically what this is, Movember, where the boys are growing stash. Yeah, I like that. For those of you that don't know, there is a movement out there called Movember, where you can, basically they're a organization that works with promoting men's health, helping in multiple things from mental health, cancer, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, testicular cancer and suicide are kind of like the main big ones that they really work with. But they do it for men's health, like in an overall sense. It's really to help in awareness for men's health. And so basically what we'll be doing from this point going forward is growing mustaches. Yeah, so I don't know how well mine's going to come in because I'm not a real big facial hair grower. I know I grow this out, but it doesn't really come in very well. My mustache does not come in at all, but Tom's the one that he's able to kind of grow like a full-length stash and stuff. But, yeah, we're going to be doing that in support of this for Movember. So if you guys are interested, there'll be – what's up? Oh, okay. But if you guys want, there'll be a link in the description down below. So if you guys want to, you can go check that out. You can sign up for them. You can go support them, donate, whatever it is you want. But okay, cool. Yeah, so we'll have our own Movember thing as well. Also, stick around too for this weekend because on Saturday we're going to be doing a show, and then sometime Sunday or so. Maybe we'll see. But I mean, I know Saturday is probably when me and Tom are going to go get our pumpkin. We're going to go film a vlog. We're going to go carve it. And then we'll have our pumpkin out for our Wednesday show because we're going to do our Halloween show a day early because we don't land on Halloween this year. We land on the 30th is when we're going to do it. But we're going to have the pumpkin up here, so we're going to reveal it. So if you guys have any ideas for stuff you want to see carved, again, please keep it PG. I'm asking. I know you're disappointed, but please keep it PG. Yeah, I know I'm no fun. I'm the no fun dad here around here. But if you guys do have any ideas, please, we want to hear them. We want to know. Otherwise, we're just gonna try and pick something very sports-like, very X-Bomb-like, or something, or we're just gonna go completely goofy. But that's gonna do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have enjoyed this show. So we'll see you guys on the weekend, on Saturday. And as always, much love and peace out, Boom Crew.